Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in today. I thought as we got this journey started that I would take a little bit of time this episode and tell you about who I am. If I'm going to facilitate conversations about family law and intimate areas of your own family law situations, and just sort of help guide practice professionals who are working in this environment, I think you deserve to know who I am and sort of how I got into this role, just so that you know me a little bit. So I practice in Colorado, in the area of family law. I live and work in the state and grew up in Colorado. I'm the child of an immigrant father who came to this country with, your sort of typical very little English skills. He was coming from Germany in the post World War II timeframe, and came to this country really to try to go after the American dream really and just have more opportunity. He ended up in Wyoming where they had some extended family and then ultimately made his way to Denver. Um, my mother was from the East Coast, from upstate New York, and came to Colorado after graduating from college and becoming a teacher. And she and her friends wanted to come to Colorado so they could ski, frankly. So they met in Denver, and they got married, and I was born to them as their first child of two daughters. And we grew up in the house that I actually now still live in, which is in the Red Rocks amphitheater area in the western, just where the mountains start west of Colorado. So I went to local public schools, the little local elementary school, middle school, and then on to the local Jefferson County High School. And there I did debate, which was probably my most important, I don't know, formative, um, young person's extracurricular activity. Probably most likely to go become a lawyer out of that. But I was also really interested in journalism. And so I went off to Northwestern University after I graduated from high school, Northwestern in Evanston, Illinois. And I went there so I could study journalism and just have, a world class education. It was a really important thing for my parents, my dad especially, having, tried to work to become something in the United States. He was certainly somebody who emphasized education. And so I went off to Northwestern, majored in journalism there. It's a great journalism school, the Medill School of Journalism. I got into law school. There was a part-time program at the University of Denver, Stern College of Law, which ended up being an amazing law school. I mean, I was so snobby about this regarding Stanford and Berkeley and all these places, but DU ended up being amazing. I highly recommend it, and it was a really great place for me to study to become a lawyer. I was able to do a part-time night program, evening program amazing other students who had all kinds of life experience, and were, you know, just really an incredible set of people. And so we started out, it should have taken 4 years. I finished in 3.5 by kind of switching back a little bit and taking more day classes as my kids started to get a little bit older. Oh, I also forgot to mention that importantly, I had 2 more kids. I had twin boys, who are, now gosh, they're 20 now. So I had twin boys. So yes, I ended up having 4 kids, basically 4 and under, during that entire, lawsuit time. And then when I went to law school, the boys were in 1st grade. My twin boys were in 1st grade, so my kids are, I guess, were 1st grade, 3rd grade, 5th grade. And I look back on that in time now and don't even know how I got through it. I think it was a lot of coffee, help from friends. I hired a nanny, a lot of prayer, all those things that really got me through it because it was a lot. It was a lot to go to law school with 4 little kids. I got a job working for a very well funded educational software because I'd been an education reporter and had a great journalism degree. This company wanted to hire me to do communications for them, where we would try to tell stories of what was happening with the use of of software in education. So I got to travel over the country doing that, learned a ton, worked with a great public relations firm at the time that also very much appreciated my journalism background and my great background from Northwestern. I'd also done internships and other writing and work for the Denver Post and NBC News at the time. I literally felt like they were speaking a different language. I was sitting there thinking, I'm going to get fired because I have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. And so it was one of these, it was just such complicated technology, it seemed at the time. But I learned it eventually. There were a bunch of conferences that I'm sure are still going where people were doing their trade show stuff in Las Vegas and various places. So we did all these different product launches. I ended up switching firms again and went to a smaller boutique public relations firm. Let's see, I'm getting my dates a little bit off. It should have been 1995, I guess. I was getting kind of angsty about being a reporter, like I mentioned. And so I ended up, I was taking the LSAT, again, the law school admissions test, because like I said, I had always been a debater. I had always been somebody very interested in the law. And so I really, as I was struggling with being a reporter, I thought, I'm going to go to law school. I've been thinking about this over the years, and I'm just gonna go take the test. So I had taken that at the time that my now husband and I met. But because we were having all these exciting things happen and we moved out to California and I started with the PR work and he started his residency, I just didn't pursue law school at the time. So then, okay, fast forward. Sorry for the meandering story, and hope this is interesting to people. It's a little weird to be talking into the universe with my story, but anyway, I'll just keep going. You can fast forward if you're not interested, or skip over it. But for some of you, it might help just frame who I am. Okay, so then at that time, my husband's residency was getting closer to ending and we needed to make some decisions. And so I decided to go ahead and apply to law school before my LSAT scores expired. I think they were good for, I don't know, a handful of years. And so I applied and I got into Hastings, which is a very good school, UC Hastings in San Francisco. I was able to really figure out that there was a very powerful tool that we were missing maybe across the world, maybe across the United States, maybe certainly in Colorado. We had the statutory position, the CLR, that could advocate for the best interests of the children in the domestic courts. But we didn't know how to use that person and we weren't using that person. And there was a huge open path forward to fill that gap. And so really, I opened my own firm, not really because of just the CLR thing, but because I just refused to work for anybody else, because I wanted to call my own shots and I wanted to be truly amicable. And now I've named my firm Children First Family Law because I truly, truly mean it, that we really need to help families flourish. And we need, as a family law industry, to do this in a way that is so much better than we do it now. This doesn't need to be war. We need to be focusing on children in much more serious, impactful ways. And we need to take that so seriously. And so really, this whole thing has been very life-changing for me. And I give you my whole story so you can know my background and you can know that, I have my own kids, my own marriage. Marriage is hard. Parenting is hard. Our journeys into our work lives are always, I think, meandering. And most people are not on a straight A to Z shot on where life takes them.